Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are totally demystifying the invisible forces that shape, well, literally every single tool, device, and digital interface you interact with on a daily basis. It's going to be a fun one.
So, industrial versus product design, what is the actual difference? You hear these titles thrown around tech hubs and manufacturing floors interchangeably all the time, but are they actually the same thing? Spoiler alert, no, they're not. And today, we're going to clear up all those nuances.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our blueprint for today. We'll hit the design divide, look through Lens 1 on core focus, then Lens 2 on practical applications, dive into the human factor, talk about the Gen AI revolution, and wrap up with the future of design. Let's get to it.
Section 1. The design divide, defining the boundaries.
All right, let's kick things off with industrial design. Basically, it's the art and science of creating functional, aesthetically pleasing physical products that are perfectly optimized for mass production. Now, historically, this whole discipline emerged right alongside the Industrial Revolution, with mechanization. It is deeply rooted in the physical replication of objects. Think about it like this. It's the massive transition from a single craftsman making one unique chair to a factory churning out 10,000 identical, perfectly ergonomic chairs. That intense optimization for mass manufacturing, factoring in the tooling, the assembly lines, the physical durability, that is literally the beating heart of industrial design.
Product design, on the other hand, is a much more holistic process. It encompasses the entire life cycle of both physical and digital products. It takes a way wider view. Now, it absolutely can involve physical goods, but as tech has advanced, it is heavily expanded to include digital apps, software, and complete user experiences. A product designer isn't just sitting there asking, how do we manufacture this? No, they're asking, does this actually solve a user problem? Does it fit the market? Does it meet our broader business objectives?
Section 2. Lens 1. Core focus. Pitting the disciplines head-to-head.
So the boundaries of expertise between these two disciplines are actually super distinct. On one side, industrial design is hyper-focused on the physical realm. We're talking mass production constraints, the tactile physical form, ergonomics, and a heavy reliance on computer-aided design, or CAD. But then on the flip side, product design takes this holistic approach. It mixes the physical and the digital, leaning heavily into user experience and user interface, UX and UI, while constantly keeping an eye on overarching market strategy.
So the crucial point is that the difference really comes down to execution. To be a top-tier industrial designer, you absolutely need a deep understanding of material science, manufacturing processes like injection molding, and 3D modeling. But if you're a product designer, your toolbox looks completely different. You need mastery of user research, digital prototyping like wireframing, and product strategy. The deliverables actually shift from 3D physical mock-ups and strict manufacturing specs on the industrial side to user flows and digital frameworks on the product side.
Section 3. Lens 2. Practical applications. From theory to reality.
Let's ground all this theory in some reality, right? An industrial designer is the mastermind behind the sleek curves of your car, the exact tactile click of your washing machine dial, or the modular hardware platforms used in massive manufacturing plants to drive down costs. A product designer, however, is the architect behind the ride-sharing app you use to actually hail that car, or the software that runs your laptop, or the overarching architecture of an entire Internet of Things system that connects your smart home. They are essentially building the digital ecosystem that the physical hardware lives inside.
Section 4. The human factor, where the disciplines synthesize.
And this brilliantly illustrates where those two worlds collide. Take the Imaginary Friends University project, for example. It's a real-world prototype toy specifically developed for visually impaired children. And listen, this wasn't just about making something that looks cute. It required incredibly deep, empathetic design. Designers had to study the psychophysical characteristics of the users. They relied on tactile feedback and really specific ergonomic principles to create a physical object that actually supports the learning process of a vulnerable group. Honestly, that is human factors engineering at its absolute finest. But getting to a prototype like that requires some serious rigor. Design professionals have to map out this highly complex ergonomic integration process. They're adapting an object's form not just to a user's physical hand, but to their specific environmental and social conditions. It's essentially a continuous confrontation between functional operative aspects, meaning how it actually works, and aesthetic communicative aspects, meaning how it's perceived by the user.
To break that down simply, whether you are an industrial designer shaping a physical gaming controller or a product designer mapping out a new digital app, you have to systematically transform user needs into a viable reality. You literally have to analyze what the user actually requires, what environmental conditions they're operating in, how the product functions operationally, and what it communicates aesthetically. This human-centered approach, that is the shared DNA of all great design.
Section 5. The Gen AI Revolution, Transforming the Process.
Now, we have to talk about AI. As McKinsey points out, while Gen AI tools can bring about extraordinary outputs, they cannot replace human expertise. And that's so true. Just like the advent of CAD software or 3D printing didn't suddenly eliminate the need for designers, AI is simply a powerful new tool in the belt. You still absolutely need human experts to judge whether an AI-generated image is actually manufacturable in the real world, or if a digital layout really serves the strategic business value. The human designer is still the crucial editor and strategist here.
Let's see how this builds across the standard design phases. In Step 1, market research, designers are now using Gen AI to instantly synthesize just massive amounts of consumer sentiment data, revealing completely untapped market gaps. Then in Step 2, concept development, text-to-image AI tools are drastically accelerating ideation. So instead of spending days on a single sketch, an industrial designer can generate dozens of lifelike visual options in literally minutes just to find inspiration. And finally, in testing and refinement, those rough ideas are instantly turned into immersive visuals. This allows for incredibly fast, real-time feedback from users and business leaders alike. It is quite literally putting the entire iteration cycle into hyperdrive.
Section 6. The Future of Design, Blurring the Lines. All right, to wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Look at the smartphone or the computer you're using right now to listen to this. The casing, the thermal management, the precise weight, the glass screen, all of that is an absolute triumph of industrial design and mass manufacturing. But the operating system, the interface, the app ecosystem that makes the device actually useful and indispensable to your life, that is brilliant product design. They are two distinct disciplines perfectly synthesized right there in the palm of your hand. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, guys, and keep learning.